Microphone check, 1, 2, what is this? It's the 5'7" assassin in the podcast business. I am your host, Rohan Patra, the rap music plug at your service.
Here we are again at the end of a rainbow.
When I started this Album Alchemy series, I wanted to get laser focused on the intricacies found in some of the best rap albums being made with the artists themselves. So I feel like a series like this is tailor-made for the pair of artists we have featured in today's episode. Lukah, Memphis MC, second time joining the show, has been on a tear in the past couple of years, dropping some of the absolute best albums of these past few years, and was my rap MVP of 2021. And he has the type of approach to music that is so incredibly well thought out that it really shines in this kind of environment when he really gets the opportunity to dive deep into his music. And then he also brought along with him his right-hand man, Hollow Soul, who is the primary engineer for Lukah, who mixes all of his music. And together they joined forces to create one of the hardest and biggest sounding rap albums of the year, titled Raw Extractions. So if you want to know more about the intriguing and intricate concept to this album and how it ended up sounding so grand and ambitious, this is the episode for you. The Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV is the remedy to the I don't have anything good to listen to problem. Through in-depth album and song reviews, as well as artist interviews and general rap commentary sprinkled in between on all of what the mainstream and underground rap scenes have to offer, this is your one-stop shop to knowing what to add to your queue, play next, or pop into your record player. Welcome to the show. What's up, Lukah? What's up, Hollow Soul? How you guys doing, man?
Peace. How you doing, family?
Good.
Great. Second time having Lukah on the show. That's amazing. And I know actually like a while ago, this was after, maybe even before we did the first interview. I know, Lukah, you were saying like I gotta tap in with Hollow. You're like, he's doing crazy things. So I'm happy that we were finally able to link up, because man, there's a lot to talk about with what you do, Hollow, especially shown on this record. There's a lot of good work.
Is this the first artist engineer?
No, actually. So we got, are you familiar with Steel Tip Dove? He does a lot. Like, I would say at least past like 2014, 15, the vast majority of the Backwood Studios engineering.
Okay.
And a lot of beats too. Like, actually.
Didn't we meet those guys?
I swear you guys did, because I was talking with your manager. With Ross.
Wait, New York?
And you said that you guys were going to.
Oh, that's right. I don't think you went that time, Hollow. Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't go.
I know Willie Green does their stuff too.
Yeah, so Willie's Willie's the kind of the god there, but like specifically like the recording. That's something that almost like, I know, for instance, the recent Woods album that just dropped, all the Shrapnel stuff, there like crazy. Often is recorded at his base. Gotcha. At Steel Tip Doves. Yeah. He's got some crazy credits actually that like span pretty far back. Like, he's even worked with people like Big Baby Gandhi and stuff like that from like the early 2010s.
Woods album hard too. Just side note.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. That was such a cool surprise. I knew it was coming. I didn't know it'd be it'd be a full album. Yeah. But yeah, we're talking about Raw Extractions, the latest Album Alchemy deep dive. This is a sick ass record, as anybody who watches the show would know. Lukah's been on a tear, and I'm really excited to get into it. And I want to start with just like a simple question, because for me, you've really developed a reputation with your album titles. Like, you got the When the Black Hand Touches You and Why Look Up, God's in the Mirror. Like, those are some real weighty titles. And now this latest album, Raw Extraction, once again, like, evokes a lot of thoughts in my mind. So let's just start there. Like, what's the meaning or the significance behind that record title?
You want the long one or the short one?
Let's do a long one. Let's do it. Do whatever you want.
All right. So cool. Well, first of all, RAW is RAW is an acronym from for righteous and wicked, which I feel like describes me to a T. You know what I mean? And the extractions came from just, you know what I mean, raw extractions. I wanted to extract the righteousness and the wickedness from the communities and from the hip hop game, and put it in the dead center or in the forefront, so we can be like, all right, cool. All right, we know we're this. We know we are this wickedness that everybody paints us to be, and we're this wickedness that we know we are, and we do to each other and amongst each other, and hurting each other and things of that nature. But we also come from this righteousness, this power structure, this highness, this king and queen type of culture. We come from that. So which one do we want to be? You know what I mean? So once I figured that out, as the birds fly low, it's fucked up wrong. So you know what I'm saying? So I was working on As the Birds Fly Low. I'm gonna make a full circle. I was working on As the Birds Fly Low, which is the album that's gonna be about my childhood in its entirety. Really going to the story of my life. But anyway, I started getting a little emotional around some of the topics I was doing. So I just told Hollow and Cities, I was like, yo, I got to step away from this real quick. I think I'm going to go ahead and go to the album that's after Why I Look Up God's in the Mirror. So, you know what I mean? I was like, okay, when you find out you're a God, what's the first thing you want to do? This is what I was asking myself. And I asked a few people, you know what I mean, said they would change poverty and things of that nature, which is dope. I would do all of that too. But they would turn around and ask me what would be yours. I was like, yo, I want to fly. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I want to see what's going on beyond and see how I can relate to, see how what's going on up there relates to down here and where we come from. Because, you know, there's a lot of snippets on the album where I'm like, where like Jizza is talking about how the body consists of stars billion years ago, you know what I'm saying, that makes up the body and the cells and things of that nature. So I would want to fly, see what I could find out up there, then come down here and see what I can do. So the album, I was like, all right, so if I want to achieve flight, how am I going to do this? And that's when I was telling Hollow and Cities, I was like, yo, I'm gonna do the purest hip hop form shit I can do. I'm gonna go find a DJ, I'm gonna put him on it. I'm gonna make sure that, you know what I'm saying, people realize that this album, if you could place this album in any era, this would belong to the Stop the Violence movement era. You know what I'm saying? Like I started diving into Public Enemy stuff more. Rakim, I was only listening to 80s hip hop when I was making this album, in jazz, and I'm talking about as far as rap. You know what I mean? When some new people drop, I would hear it just to make sure we ain't sampling the same shit. But then I'll go back to what I'm doing. So yeah, man. So I was like, all right, cool. In order for us to achieve flight with this shit, I'm gonna have to extract the raw shit. And how I'm gonna do that? I'm gonna do it with the purest hip hop form, DJing. I'm gonna talk about breakdancing on there. That's why I got the song called Black Belt Jones, which is dedicated to Jim Kelly, which is based on Kung Fu. I was really diving into hip hop more than I ever have. And you know, I was going across interviews of cats that aren't known, but they like the cats that was there at the beginning of it, saying like how before Wu-Tang, I think I told Hollow this story too, right? Out when he sent me Black Dragon from Black Hand. It was crazy because I named this song Black Dragon, then my uncle sent me this interview based on some hip hop shit where they were saying like before Wu-Tang, there was a guy called Black Dragon in the hood who would teach everybody Kung Fu. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so hip hop was already mixed with Kung Fu before Wu brought it to the big stage. You know what I'm saying? So I'll send you that too if you're interested in that. And you know what I'm saying? So things of that nature, man. I just dived in and I wanted to make sure that the album was raw. Like you could sense the righteousness, you could sense the wickedness, and Hollow really took it to the next step because I'm sure you're going to get to him, but I just want to say this. But each album, Hollow puts it in a certain space. You know what I'm saying? And I know for me where each album sits. And when I was talking about Achieving Flight, I was like, yo, I really hope Hollow makes this shit feel worldly, like worldly, like we're outer. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he did, fam. So, you know what I'm saying? That's what Raw Extractions is. And that's how I came up with that title. It's a lot of chaos, man.
Man, no, that's that. I didn't expect half of that, but that I can hear it, especially like when you're talking about bringing like the DJs, making this feel like super pure raw hip hop. This definitely gives me the most of that over any of your other records. And I like that you say you wanted this to feel worldly because the world, I didn't think of that word when I thought of like how this sounded, but when I put on Raw Extractions, one of my immediate takeaways was just that it sounded so big. Like it sounds like really grand, really massive. And I think I DM'd you, Lukah, a while ago. I was like, when I played Thoughts Made Divine on my good speakers, it felt like I was floating on the bass line. Like I didn't even I listened to it mostly on headphones and I was like, oh, it sounds great. But then when I had my good speakers on, I was like, yo, this is nuts, man. This is big. Like, and it sounds like mixed really like sound thunderous, but it's like really like high fidelity, not too muddy or distracting from the raps. And so Hollow, like talk to us about the direction you as an engineer were aiming for, especially like kind of working off of what Lukah just said as it relates to Raw Extractions.
Yeah, so as you can tell, Lukah has everything really well thought out, you know, and that all comes together like throughout the process while we're doing it. You know, so creating that world that he wants to sit in, you know, I mean, it comes together over time. Like, I mean, this thing started with like, it was going to be an EP, actually. Yeah, that's like, so it was going to be an EP. We had like 5 or 6 records that we were going to do. And then we just kept adding. And then like just everything kept forming. Then he was like, okay, yo, I'm going to get DJ to scratch on this. Okay, yo, put these skits in here like this. All right, now put these beats right here like this, you know? So it all came together. And like, as far as the sound of it, like we were trying like all the, like the delay throws that are in there and like the high fidelity aspect of it. Like, you know, a lot of his like peers, it's almost like they're going for a lo-fi thing, which I love that, you know, I love that too. But just putting it in like a different world, like it does sound really high fidelity. It sounds really big, unlike a lot of that stuff. And yeah, like just mixing is like, and each project has like taken the next step. Like when we started on Black Hand, it was like 2-track beats, you know, just like joints Lukah, you know, threw together. And this one like had all the stems, you know, just like Why Look Up too, but this one was just different, man. Like, and
he also did his thing in a different space, so that plays a part too. Talk about that too, Hollow.
Yeah, so like the intro, the Oxygen track, like there was like a whole different beat for that whole thing to begin with, and a different skit, right? It was like a whole different thing, and then we kind of took it and we were playing it one day, and like, it's crazy because I wanted Lukah to actually hop on that beat that is on the intro and outro.
The intro and outro was supposed to be on As the Birds Fly Low.
Yeah.
I was on. Yeah.
Yeah, but so we just ended up being like, man, this feels right. Like we played it as the intro and put the skit over it, and like shit just felt right. Like it was a perfect opening to what he was getting across for Raw Extractions.
Yeah, I think it also fits because this has a lot of dialogue. That's a pretty big part of this record, which I think we'll get into a bit more later.
Right.
And one thing that you said earlier that I found interesting, that you know, it's funny because like where the sound you were kind of like going for, at least from like the ethos, like that pure raw hip hop, a lot of that just by when it was created, like a lot of that 90s, early like late 80s stuff, it's not like they were necessarily going for lo-fi as much as just like the technology wasn't there in a lot of ways. So like a lot of that music that this is kind of like inspired from, like that wasn't delivered in this kind of like high fidelity
Right,
cinematic way like this is. So that I find that really cool. Like you
right.
don't
And
hear
that's like
scratching on these kinds of records normally, for example.
right. And it's because it's like it's like making it futuristic sounding while also trying to sound vintage at the same time. You know,
Yeah.
it's yeah. So, well, this album, so usually so for Black Hand and Why Look Up, I was mixing at my mentor studio, Ari Morris. For this one, it just felt so much more personal and like also like the rush of it all. You know, we were going in and out of the studio constantly. Yeah, so this was the first one I mixed like at my home setup that, y'all kind of see right now. And I bought like a couple new pieces just for mixing this, it was like, so it was interesting to, get the sound we got just from the home spot. And
Oh,
but
that's sick. Like I was thinking like with this record, I feel like listening to this album on like shitty headphones is like watching Avatar on an iPhone or something. Like it's just like
that's a good way to
just
describe it.
trash. Like it just does not do it justice at all. Because this is really a movie s. So like props to you for that sound. Like even like Black Belt Jones, because that song I thought of Wu like immediately, especially with like the
Mhm.
that like sounds like some kind of sword sharp
Mhm.
like whatever, but it again the fidelity is there, so it's just like it's a cool vibe. Speaking more on the sound, so Lukah, you've like when we first did our initial interview, I think that was like April 2021, you were telling us about Why Look Up, which hadn't dropped yet, and you were like, oh, I've moved to the kicks and drums, so look out for that. And obviously that was a great success and something that you're continuing with Raw Extraction. So I'm wondering, like, do you find that you're liking this kind of sound more, or and like, do you see yourself ever going back to that more like drumless, sample heavy sound that you did on like
Nah,
Black Hand, Chicken Wire?
nah, man. You'll see. As the birds fly low, it's all gonna make a full circle. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
I
Remember I
love
told
that.
you about the quad and putting the albums together? It's gonna make a full circle. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, I love the kicks and drums. The kicks and drums, it's easier for me to find. I don't know if y'all noticed, but on Black Hand, I color things, you know what I'm saying? But I was able to color more flow wise with Why Look Up and on Raw Extractions because it's something about the kicks and the snares that I can find different type of pockets versus just a loop. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
a loop, you got to kind of ride the loop. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what the loop is doing. And I can find multiple ways to do it. It's just not as quick and as like braggadocious as me doing it on kicks and snares because you got the head noggin with it. I
Mm-hmm.
try to make sure I choose beats where like I'm always asking Hollow. I'm like, yo, Hollow, man, I'm from Memphis, bro. Make this shit sound southern now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I be like, yo, can you bring this out and all that shit? He'll send me crazy shit like, well, who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Like, just like all that shit. So it's just like with the kicks and snares, man, I can just experiment a little more. You know what I mean? Flow wise.
Yeah.
But it's coming back around for sure. And it's gonna
That's
be stronger
That's
than all of
exactly
them
what
out there.
I took that from when Why Look Up and then this, you're definitely doing a bit more with your flow. And I feel like that's exactly what I thought too. Like it's probably easier to get pockets because you just have more to like play off of, like more snares, different kind of sounds
Yeah,
versus just like the sample. Um
yeah.
and and so Hollow, like from a producer's perspective, from that side of the table, like what do you feel beats with more prominent drums do for an artist like Lukah versus that kind of more drumless, sample heavy sound?
Well, yeah, like he said, we're from Memphis, right? So, and just the South in general, pocket is everything,
Mm,
especially in Memphis where like the kick, snare, hat combo is like the sound, like,
Yeah.
and pocket is everything. So just trying to keep that, Southern energy with it, right? But I mean, I love hearing, and from an engineer perspective too, mixing beats with kicks and snares not so much more fun, than just samples, or just loops. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Um, so
Oh
yeah,
no, Hollow. You pretty crazy with the loops, man. How you be
that's
going in
cool
and
too. But
diving.
you got to approach it in a different way because it's like, okay, are there drums in the loop? How do I bring these
Thanks.
out if I want to bring them out? Or like, okay, do I like spread the loop outward and keep you in the middle? It's just like all these different perspectives you can go about it with that while like
I,
approaching a song like kicks and snares is
frac-
different.
fractures is a loop, but I don't think people lose the feel of the album when it
Not
gets
at
to
all.
about the end of Balaclava than Fractures. You know what I'm saying? Because both of those are loops, and I think those loops sound crazier than Black Hands mixes. You know what I'm saying? That's why I was like, I don't know, fam, because the way you had these loops sitting, you would think you had the stems almost.
Right. Well, I
Mm.
mean, in each album, yeah, each album's a learning process too, man. Like when we first linked on Black Hand, it was a couple years ago, like just learning more and more each time, it's like
Mm.
just as an engineer, constantly learning. So it's a different approach, like for like a beat that has kick and snare, right? Or like bass, like you want to approach those elements first, for me at
Yeah.
least. Like, so try to make those, especially on like Thoughts Made Divine, where like that's my initial palette.
Yeah.
Like kick and snare, you can kind of tell too, like where it's just hitting so hard,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then I just sneak everything else in there. So
Hey,
Yeah.
shout out to Walls, man. Walls,
the walls,
Walls,
bro.
Oh yeah.
man. Walls always like, man. He'll come to me and be like, man, I didn't even know my shit could sound like that. You know what I'm saying? He's just like, man, he just bring this shit out. It's crazy, fam.
I mean, they give me
Yeah.
the perfect canvas to paint with. You know what I mean?
Mm.
They give me the right stuff to work with every time.
So religion and spirituality come up a lot on this record, but like many times in a Lukah album generally. This is not a uncommon thing for you. And the ending skit in particular on Return Treasures, relating to basically like doubting the existence of God, which I think is Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like I think that's probably what
Mm-hmm.
that is. Yeah. I found the inclusion of that pretty interesting because it's, explicitly unconvinced there's a God, because I know how significant God spirituality's played in like your upbringing and your life generally. So like, what was your thinking behind including this in the album?
I just felt like it was a perfect way to tie Why Look Up God's in the Mirror to it. I already told you to stop looking up, look in the mirror. So just in case you ever doubted this shit, while we're achieving flight right now through this entire album, let me remind you again. And I just feel like for people who actually listen to what I'm saying and know that I'm not like attacking anybody's beliefs or anything, the only he said he was like, "Yo, there's no evidence."
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if there's no evidence, then what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we following the unknown? I know that's not me. I can't follow the unknown. I
Mm-hmm.
gotta really know, and I just can't believe. You know what I mean? So, and that's no disrespect. So I just try to paint things in a different way, and a person can take a different look at it. So you know what I'm saying? When I heard that skit, I was just like, this is Lukah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the message I'm trying to paint. And you know what I'm saying? So here. So
That is cool
and
because I did
and
think of.
that's Hollow's beat too on that joint.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I keep
yeah.
trying to sneak him in because he won't rap on anything. So I keep trying to sneak him in where I can.
No, I like that. I actually did think of Why Look Up when that was playing, because I was thinking like, why is this here? I was confused for a sec, but then I'm like, oh, definitely relates to just what you were saying on the last record. So
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh, and it's right before I'm in tune with the beyond.
Yeah, so it made sense from like a
Yeah.
definitely made sense
Yeah.
from like a flow of the album, 100%.
Yeah.
That had a lot of like imagery related to that. And you know, there's some really impactful moments on this album. Like that track, I think the one that I really love was that first verse, the way it kind of ends as like a seems like a farewell letter to your loved ones on Balaclava. I found that was
Mm-hmm.
incredible. And that brings me to a line on Presence of Color that really stuck with me, where you say, want to recite this to the children, but they'll label this explicit.
Mm-hmm.
And it just made me think like it's wild to think that the kinds of messages you are putting in this album are treated like a little like legit like a negative influence on the youth just because you're a rapper, and this is done by those usual conservative white folks out there. And even though, as you put it on I'll always love her, like rap encompasses the like everything. And I think the way you said it here, like the righteousness and the wickedness, like that whole part about
Mm-hmm.
like the good, the bad, all the elements, like
Yeah.
so basically makes me ask, like, do you feel like in today's climate, making music with the substance like yours has is more important than it's ever been, especially given like your clear criticisms of like education system, the government, the media, how those kind of fail us in a lot of ways?
Yeah, man. As the years go on, each year it gets even more important
Mm-hmm.
because somewhere, some place, somewhere, there's some lacking the knowledge of what's really going on. You know what I mean? So if you don't really know what's going on, then you don't really know where you are. Like Memphis. I use my city. I don't think Memphis knows what's really going on. So obviously, I don't know if you've been seeing the news and things of that nature about Memphis, but it's the city of the lost because we don't know where we are. We don't know where we're going. We don't have a a goal. You know what I mean? We're just living because that's like I talk about in all the like I talk about in all my albums. Generational trauma. It's passed down. You know what I mean? So it's gonna take. I was telling Hollow and I was telling Gab. I was cities. I was just like, bro, this shit not gonna work until they accept hip hop for what it is. Each individual on this platform is now um, the Malcolm X because of the platform. You know, the Martin Luther King, the you know what I mean? Like everybody's paying attention to you. The inner city white kids from elementary to all the way up to college, they paying attention to you. So, you know what I'm saying? Like everybody's paying attention to you. So why not take this time out to, I don't want to say educate, but you know what I mean, elevate. You know what I mean? Like let's elevate one another. You know what I'm saying? Let's take flight with one another. It's super important. And it's become that way for me because I got two kids. You know what I'm saying? I'm always telling Holla, I was like, yo, we gotta get up out of this joint, bro. We gotta go put our kids and find institutes, man, education institutes, because I know what Memphis breeds. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's super important. Somewhere, man, it's crazy and sick to think about because my great grandmother's still alive. She's like 87. You know what I'm saying? She came up in those times. So it's just crazy how like seeing that generation fight for something for so long and made lead weights and it wasn't big. You know what I'm saying? We you know what I'm saying? Just a little. We made some headway, just a little. And get up to like my generation. Like we're gonna talk about my mom and dad generation because they're coming from that generational trauma of my great grandparents, um, uh, that generation, their kids' generation, and then they come into the crack epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just double, 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 and we kind of got over that, but not really. And then now it's like worse than the crack epidemic because like now there's no upfront, forefront education with this culture no more. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
Besides the music.
besides the music. You know what I'm saying? When you paint when you paint the pictures that we're painting, which is cool because it's reality. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I never tell us to stop rapping about what we rap about. My whole thing is, where's the balance? All right, this world could not operate right without balance. You know what I'm saying? Nothing works perfectly without balance. So, yeah, paint the pictures of what's really going on. These people really exist.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, there's another side to that too. You know what I'm saying? And it's there, whoever they are, and you know what I mean, oppressors or whatever people want to call them, they ain't seeking balance in that way. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. So I just feel like it's you know what I'm saying? People like Chuck D and all those cats, man, those folks was doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like they were putting the word out to the communities. You know what I'm saying? And the communities was accepting it. I'm just like thinking like, yo, man, look back in the 80s and the 90s. Everything looked colorful. Despite the crack epidemic, everything was still colorful. You know what I mean? It was house parties, you know what I'm saying, and things of that nature. People dancing, coming together at the function, no doubt. In New York and all these other places like LA, yeah, shit popped off. I mean, it's the community, you know what I'm saying? But that shit wasn't always broadcasted like it is now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So it's just like, and that's the media. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's super important. And I just want, man, look, I don't want you to think I'm like, Captain Say the Word. I'm not like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I listen, all I know is that the knowledge is out there and it's free. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If that shit is free. You know what I'm saying? So until we realize that, you know what I mean? We're gonna keep living how we living, and then there's gonna be those who realize how we living. They're gonna have to like, man, find ways to live in chaos comfortably. You know what I'm saying? So we just gotta keep doing what we do. I know I'm gonna keep doing my part. You know what I mean? I'm gonna make sure my kids, you know what I'm saying, learn from that and they do their part. And then their kids, they do their part. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I'm sorry, fam.
No,
I
man.
really love
I
that
want to
shit.
hear this.
You know
That's
what I
why
mean?
I asked. Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like the music in a lot of ways like kind of counteracts that lack of balance. Because I think when you were saying like back in like in the crack, like that crack epidemic era, like people were still doing this and that. Like, I feel like nowadays all that people see in the media, like social media, all that shit is not the one side of the coin. Like, there's no balance.
Yeah.
You're just seeing like
Yeah.
just complete trauma and
Yeah.
fuckery like constantly. So it just kind of,
Yeah.
and people end up kind of believing that because that's what the
Yeah.
reality is, whatever you're told and like whatever these people kind of project. So having that balance in music is one thing that we could do, one thing we could consume that, gives us a more of a full picture.
Well, that's that. I said it on. I'll always love it. Um, um, Many don't love her, but still use her to help out the genres, to help out the other genres.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So people know how powerful this shit is. The
Oh yeah.
controllers of this shit, the puppet masters, you know what I mean? People know how strong specifically hip hop is. We're not gonna even dive into jazz and
Yeah.
why that's not popping like it used to. You know what I'm saying? And why the soul is actually leaving the soul aspect of music. We ain't gonna even talk about that. We're gonna talk about hip hop right now. Is the most thriving thing worldwide
Yeah.
that brings everybody together. And why the fuck are we choosing the craziest shit to promote to bring us together? I get, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm from Memphis. I'm from that part of it. I'm from South Memphis. I know what's going on. But my whole thing is, I mean, it's cool, you know what I'm saying? Back if I was younger, you know what I'm saying, when I was off the porch, hearing people be like, yeah, bro, I fuck with Memphis, bro. Y'all crazy hell down there. That shit ain't cool no more.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get nothing out of that. You know what I'm saying? So then I have to change the speed of the conversation. Just like, hey, you do know we got the first black neighborhood in the country owned by black people and built by black people, Orange Mound.
Nice.
That's some fly shit going on down there. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know what I mean? It's not fly that King was assassinated here, but you know what I mean? That's important to the culture of this shit. You know what I'm saying? Come down to Memphis and see why Memphis is still so fucked up. They killed this man here. We ain't been able to survive. We haven't been able to overcome that yet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I'll keep going, Rowan. So you got to stop me. Man.
All right. Well, I think you said a lot. I think you said a lot of good shit there. And I'll get Hollow back involved with this just to say, like, you know, as someone that mixes all of Lukah's stuff, you know, producing beats for, like, you produced some on this album as well as some previous ones too. You know, you've obviously played a major role in the creative process. So you kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but could you get in more depth about, like, how's your workflow with Lukah? Like, are you usually running with the sound aspect and then he kind of pipes in with some suggestions or some things, some ideas, or is it very collaborative, like pretty evenly from start to finish?
As far as the mix aspect, it's pretty much, you know, just like me doing my thing, and he trusts me with, you know, what he gave me. But he's always giving me more also, you know, like I mean, I'll have a mix done, send it to him, and then he's like, oh, yo, let's add this skit right here, or, you know, put a break right here or something, you know. It's like all these different things. And then, you know, I'll do that on my own too, like after I'll Always Love Her, like that end part, like I just created that in itself, nice. You know, with the skit and all that, you know. So it is collaborative in a way. He always pulls up, you know, and we'll talk things out and, you know, do all that, but mainly he just lets me work, you know, and trust that I'll do what's right by it.
And how does Lukah differ from, like, other artists that you've worked with? Because you work with, like, a ton of other artists too.
I mean, that's usually pretty much how it is, you know. Usually the artist will send their idea, right? It's different with Lukah because I'm there from recording to, you know, mixing, you know, or even like he'll just send me the rough draft. Lukah's always sending me the rough draft, just the voice memo with the beat in the background, you know. He's like, yo, you fuck with this? How's this sound? You know, we'll always go back and forth about shit like that. So yeah, I mean, really hands-on. I mean, but as far as the mix tip, yeah, like I'm pretty much just in here by myself. I really don't like mixing with people. I mean, Lukah would be fine because he would just sit back in the corner, you know. Yeah, it's really just me in here. Yeah.
It's super collaborative, Rowan. Like, he talking about I would call it. Nah, man. He's the reason why fluorine and oxygen exist. The names. We was on the phone. Yo, man, stop playing, Hollow.
It's so much. It just, you know, it's so in the moment that it's so hard to just like
recollect it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything just happens so fast. Like,
yo, this is just crazy on how in tune me and this guy is, man. And I tell anybody, relationship wise, I don't care, from Jay the Guru, you know what I mean, Jay Guru to Kenrigan when he was with Ali. Yo, nobody fucking with how me and Dude tuned in. So I was just like, we on the phone. We like, yo, all right, yo, can you come to the studio? Nah, man, I got the boys. So I got the boys with me, and we're trying to put the skits in. This is when the change of the beat comes. And I forgot what I named the intro. I think I just called it Raw Extractions or something like that. And if you listen to the ending, if you listen to Oxygen and Fluorine, that's KRS-One breaking down each element of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It's 9 elements. So I don't know, Hollow was just over there quiet or something. He was like, yo, why don't you call the intro Oxygen? And I'm thinking, like, why? He was like, yo, that's the 8th element. Because it's only 8 elements that were listed and on the first joint, you know what I'm saying? On Oxygen. And then he was like, yo, call the outro Fluorine, because that's the 9th element. And I was just like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Like,
that's
bro,
crazy.
I mean, that's something. If I had the time, I would have thought of that eventually. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But he was already there. You know what I'm saying? So that shit, yo, man, it's super collaborative, man. I'm always taking his suggestions and I'm always arguing with him for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
But
Just to get
Lukah
the
never
perfect
sending me
shit.
like, yo, make the snare louder. You know what I mean? He
Yeah.
might give me
Nah,
this kind
I ain't touching that part
of,
at all. Nah,
Yeah.
he'll make suggestions on a lyric here and there, and I just be like, bro, I'm not about to listen to you about no lyrics, bro. You know what I'm saying? But no,
Yeah, and I
he's
appreciate the
yeah.
confidence to even say it though. That's sick. I don't know
Nah,
if I
but
would.
that's not true though, because I'm used sometimes I'll be like, yo, at least just take a word out or two right here, you know, because it
Yeah, he
always
has
comes
done
out
that for sure.
different than how you wrote it. When you start recording, it's always different than how
Right.
you
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
factual.
Yeah. I like that oxygen fluorine thing. That makes sense too with like because like oxygen is like the good part in a way. Like you could say it's like the
Mm-hmm.
righteous, and then the fluorine's like
Yeah,
the wicked. It's the
yeah,
dangerous shit. That's cool. I
yeah,
didn't think of it like
yeah.
that. Okay, one thing for Lukah, just a really simple question, but like you have songs like Flying Low, Balaclava, Thoughts Made Divine, Black Belt Jones, I'll Always Love Her. These are like, in my opinion, some of your best lyrical displays yet.
Mm-hmm.
There's like some intricate song concepts on those. There's just like some just generally, sharp raps. Do you think you're rapping like the best you ever had now? Are you confident to say that?
Oh yeah. Oh man. I'm always trying to again with me and Hollow, I think we work so well because like he said, man, each process something different comes along. He gets better. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
It's like
I'm
iron
like that
sharpens
with the
iron.
yeah, and I'm like that with the albums. I mean with the lyrics. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So yeah, I feel like I'm super sharper than I was on Why Look Up, Black Hand and Chicken Wire. You know what I'm saying? And those are some sharp joints, I feel. But it's just this one's kind of different because I had something to prove to myself. I wanted to impress. I was telling who was I telling? I think I was telling Jay Royal from Stookie Bros, and I think it was Walls. I was like, yo, when I was writing this album, bro, I said I want KRS-One to be able to like say my lyrics in his voice, breaking it down to a congregation like he was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I wanted to I was trying to hear it in my head. You know what I'm saying? So I was trying to impress those cats. You know what I'm saying? And impress myself. And you know what I'm saying? Hollow always telling me, bro, we gotta go crazy on this next one. You know what I mean? It's yeah, man. Each album I'm gonna keep doing that. And if I don't, Rohan, you gotta let me know.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm
Better and
saying?
better from all
Yeah.
aspects of it, from the
Yeah.
mixing
Yeah.
aspect, the lyrics, the production. It just keeps
Man.
getting better, you
Yeah,
know.
I think the reaction has been kind of mirroring that because I think more and more people are getting tapped in, and that's just fantastic. I know the response for this record has been great, and I want to say just like I love this album, and I am very excited to hear what you guys have upcoming, especially this new record. But I kind of want to give you guys both an opportunity to talk about upcoming projects, upcoming work that you want people to look out for.
Well, it's official. Just yesterday, it's official. Me and Real Bad Man, we about to put out something.
Shit.
Yeah,
Ah,
so
yeah.
that's going on. So that, and then As the Birds Fly Low is coming out too. So those are the main joints I'm working on too. I might sneak something in, but I'm real. I always think my shit out. You know what I mean? So right now it's just those two. So the Real Bad Man joint, and then As the Birds Fly Low.
Is As the Birds Fly Low going to be the double album that you've been talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, real bad man. That's he's been making a lot of it's been a lot of projects with him recently. He's got that
Yeah.
pink Sifu project that they dropped recently, the Boldy
Yeah.
earlier. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. I always tell Bad Man, I'm like, yo, man, you got, yo, come follow me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's gonna be real crazy because it's a different collaboration with me and him. It's a new one, but I went out to LA when me and Cities did that show, met him for the first time. He was a cool cat, man. You know what I mean? Had thrax on thrax with the tracks, and it's just gonna be cool because it's gonna be outside of the Lukah verse. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be dope because I can experiment and do some shit that I probably should do and probably would not do on my shit. You know what I'm saying? So
Nice.
yeah, so those two. That Real Bad Man and As the Birds Fly Low coming soon.
Dope. So Hollow, what about you?
We're working on As the Birds Fly Low, Real Bad Man shit. I'm gonna get around to putting out a beat tape soon.
Nice.
Got to do that again. I don't think I've dropped in like 3 years because engineering's just been like full time for me. Aside from like the beats I send Lukah and Cities and also I got I don't know if they've announced this yet, but Stookie Bros are coming out with another project and I got 5 or 6 on there. 5 or 6 beats on it.
Yeah, I got a beat on that joint too.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I haven't heard any of the joints really, so I'm excited.
Dope.
Yeah. Yo, the homie Cities got some crazy shit.
Oh yeah. Not to mention the Cities of Eve album. I'm not gonna forget about that joint. Yeah, that's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Like, once he finalizes everything and
we ain't gonna even keep talking about it. You're gonna be like, yo, don't tell people.
Yeah, don't tell.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy.
Nah. Yeah, it's gonna be crazy though.
All right, man. I'm very happy you guys came on to talk about this record. Hollow, nice meeting you, and yeah, just keep doing what you guys are doing. I'm really excited just over this past year how things have gone with the Lukah verse there. So I just very excited to see what happens next.
Oh yeah,
appreciate you, man.
Nothing but
thank you for tuning in, man. For real.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll leave it there. Good luck to your Steelers. Let's see if they can pull out a win against the mighty Zach Wilson and
listen, man. I've been holding in, man, mad yells and screams right now, man.
Oh yeah.
I'm just like, what is going on?
Oh yeah, shit, you've had the game on. I'm impressed. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But now, man, you stay safe, be peaceful, and you keep going up as well, man.
Yeah.
Cause you gonna shoot up there, man, because how you do it differently, man. How you do your thing. So yeah. Salute
I appreciate
you.
that. Appreciate that, man. Take care. Peace.
Peace, bro.
So there we have it, another episode of the Rap Music Plug podcast presented by QLC TV. I hope this episode gave you some new perspectives and insights into what the greatest art form known to man in hip-hop music has to offer. If you want to support the show in the most meaningful way possible, it would be my absolute honor to have you as a patron in the new Rap Music Plug podcast Patreon. Through this Patreon, you will be getting exclusive content such as bonus episodes, exclusive album recommendations, exclusive playlists, early access to episodes, and more. And above all, though, you will be able to support the show directly in a way that will not only justify the crazy amount of time I spend on this show already, but allow me to cover some of the expenses related to supporting all of these great artists that we cover on the show through the website, and will allow us to sustain and build on this amazing growth that the RMPP has experienced recently. Big shout out to Dano of Free Music Empire, Levi, Mahima, Jeff, Mitch, Dash Lewis, Pancake Cleaner, Trey, Noah, Justin, Brandon, Joe, Gavin, Matt, Teddy Faley, Jackson, CN, Slumber Logic, Fatman Tomb, and Khalid for your generous support through the Patreon. I really appreciate it. So if you have any questions about any of the Patreon stuff, or just want to keep tabs on the show, interact with me on rap music and all the great stuff that we can talk about, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at rapmusicplugpod, or shoot me an email at qlctv.podcast@gmail.com. You can also rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and subscribe on YouTube and Spotify as well. But that's enough self-promotion for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Peace.